Hey everyone, welcome back to What's Cooking with Meg. And today I'm going to make one of my absolute favorite dishes ever, carbonara. So I know for a lot of people this can be very controversial because there's the traditional way to do it and then there's the American way, which has kind of, in my opinion, taken it too far from the original. So today I'm going to show you mostly original with a few changes that I like to make it even more delicious, in my opinion. I don't know if you've noticed, but I got ourselves a fancy little cooktop, so I'm not constantly always turning my back to you guys while I'm talking. All right, so let's get started. So I'm gonna power this bad boy on. I can't even believe how fast this gets hot. It's absolutely insane. So starting off for carbonara, you're gonna need bacon. Traditionally, it's pancetta or guanciale, but it's quarantine, so I'm doing bacon. Where I'm gonna vary a little bit is I'm gonna do some crushed garlic. And since I'm not the biggest fan of like real raw pepper, I add in some arugula just to give it a little bit of green, a little bit of brightness, and then a little bit of that pepperiness. And it makes me feel healthy, even though this clearly is not a healthy dinner. And then, of course, we have our eggs. So carbonara is an egg-based sauce. There should be zero cream in it. It's really just eggs, pasta water, and cheese. And I do that traditionally. I don't put any cream in here. I don't think it needs it. And I'd rather save my cream for Alfredo. All right, so this is getting hot. Oh boy. So I'm gonna toss in some of the bacon. Get that going. Obviously behind me, I have a pot for the pasta water. It's salted, it's on low. And then once this is about halfway there, I'm gonna add in my pasta and then it should all be finished around the same time. So while the bacon is cooking, I'm gonna do the egg sauce. So we're very, very lucky. We have friends in town that actually have their own chickens and they give us their fresh farm eggs. So I feel really lucky that I'm able to eat genuinely delicious, really good food. So my sauce is gonna be not a true recipe because if you're making this for a family of four, it might be a little bit different than me eating it by myself today. And as you can see, each egg is a little bit different in size, which is great. So you're gonna start off by using yolks. So I use mostly yolks in my sauce. So I'm just gonna separate them out. It's okay if some of the white gets in. It's not the end of the world. I just prefer a mostly egg yolk sauce. Just think it's a little bit silkier and richer. I know a lot of people are really intimidated by this dish, and they really shouldn't be because it's so easy and it's so good. And in my opinion, it can be eaten for breakfast or brunch, for dinner, for whatever you want, because there's no rules in quarantine anyway. You can do whatever the heck you want. All right, I'm gonna start off with that, move my egg whites over, and wash my hands real quick. Okay, all right, give this a little stir. Smells so good already. I got a thick cut bacon, so it's gonna take a little bit longer to maybe get crispy than some other types of bacon. And this is why I kind of don't always love a recipe because my stove is going to be different than yours. The bacon I use will be different if you use guanciale, if you use pancetta. So it's all just a little bit different. So I'm going to try to give you clues on what to look for visually that will help you decide when your food is ready. All right, this is looking good. All right, so I have the 3 egg yolks in here. I think I might just do one more. Sometimes once I see it visually, I know if I need more or not. And I think since these are smaller eggs, I am going to add in one more full yolk. All right. And if you feel really guilty about all this fat, you can make an egg white omelet with your leftovers. I'm not doing that. I don't feel guilty about this dish. I just think it's delicious. All right, give it a good little mix. Even though I don't love pepper, I am going to put just a little bit in. I think it could use it. But like I said, later we're going to toss in the arugula, just so it looks a little bit brighter and beautiful, and I feel a little bit better about myself. All right, so traditionally, carbonara is made with pecorino cheese. I have it already pre-grated, and that's what I'm gonna use. But if you don't have it, I've done Parmesan, and I love it. I've done a mixture of both. There's really whatever you have on hand. I think sometimes people get a little too precious with recipes, and yes, it's good to know the traditional way to cook something, but I also think it's totally fine if you want to make your own spin on it. I don't see the issue with that. I know the biggest reason people are afraid of making carbonara is that you're basically putting in raw egg. But you're gonna see in a little bit when we get to that step that you're actually tempering the egg, and it'll be all cooked through and beautifully silky and delicious. So there's no worries that you might get sick from this. Just follow what I do and you will be A-okay. Okay, I'm just gonna pop up the temp of our water a little bit. It's looking good. There's gonna be a lot of fat that drains off in here. You wanna keep some of it for the pasta because it's kind of a coating on it, but you also don't want too much of it. So later on, when we get closer to finishing the dish, I'm gonna drain off some of the fat. You can save it for if you wanna fry eggs. I love frying eggs in bacon fat. Keep it in an airtight container in the fridge. And then whenever you need a little bit of richness or just a little bit of fat to cook in, it's nice to be able to just scoop it out and use it. All right. I'm gonna let this go a little bit longer until it's crispy and mostly cooked through. And then I'm gonna toss in the garlic, just kind of bloom that. And we're gonna wait for our pasta water to boil. So while we're waiting for that, one of the things I wanted to talk to everyone about today is just being prepared. So when you cook, as you can tell, I have all my ingredients laid out. I know what I'm gonna need before I need it. And I just think being prepared and having all your ducks lined up in a row is such an important way to cook. But I also have applied that tremendously to my real estate business. And one of the things that I've always found interesting when I joined the real estate industry 7.5 years ago was that I feel like there's so much discussion around listing appointments and having a listing consultation. And I never felt like buyers got that same attention or really that same recognition that this is a huge step and it needs to be taken seriously. You have to sit down with your buyer and talk about the process. And it's something that I created on my own. It's just kind of my own buyer consult package. And I think it's just been really helpful for a lot of first-time home buyers to sit down, talk to me about their wants and needs, and then really go over the whole process. So painstakingly, over the years, I have created my own buyer consult. And as the front of the page says, so you want to buy a house. And it really just details each step of the process. I'm really big into visuals. I think it's really easy to tell someone in a meeting, like, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. But I do this every day, so it comes naturally to me. But for a buyer out there, this is brand new to you. So it's okay if during our first meeting you don't remember everything we discussed. That's why I have our handy dandy buyer consult package that you get to keep with you and you can refer back to anytime you want. So beyond just the infographic of all the lovely steps of buying a home, I go into depth on each step, right? So this is about funding your home purchase, but the whole pre-approval process. Talking about negotiating. How are we going to negotiate? What are the terms in the contract that are negotiable besides the obvious things like price? We discuss attorney review. It's a very specific thing to New Jersey and especially just to northern New Jersey to have attorney review. So I do go into depth about what's covered there and what we look like when we're out of it. Home inspection, which is probably the most important part of the home buying process. That is where majority of deals die. So I think it's important to really discuss what to expect with the buyer up front, long before we even get to that phase. So when the day comes, you already know what to expect and you're ready to rock. And most importantly, I have all my professional recommendations, the partners that I work with. It's really, really beneficial to work with an agent like myself that has a lot of people that can support you through the process beginning to end. And there's nothing saying that you can't use your own people, but a lot of my first-time buyers don't have a mortgage rep they trust. They don't have an attorney that does real estate. So I'm really your one-stop shop for all of that. I can give you recommendations on attorneys, on inspectors, on home insurance, on title search. These are all things that you're going to need to know, and I feel like the sooner we go over it and the sooner we discuss it, the better we are. And I just think that there's not enough emphasis on the importance of having that buyer consultation. I actually just had one via Zoom the other day, which was a little weird to get used to, but it worked out great, and I think it was important for us to have that face-to-face conversation. I know with Corona and all this, it's been very difficult to do that, but we have amazing technology, and it was super fun just to sit there and kind of catch up with them and go over the whole process. And I think even though we didn't get to see each other and do our usual spiel, I think it still worked out pretty great. So as you can see, while I've been yapping, our bacon has gotten really, really crispy. So I think we're basically gonna lower this down to almost nothing. I'm gonna pour off some of that fat now, just because there's a lot, and I wanna get the garlic bloomed and get that looking beautiful. You can always add some fat back later. It's okay if you want to just pour out a little bit now. I've seen some people just do paper towels and they'll just lightly put it in there. But like I said, I like to keep my bacon fat. It's like liquid gold. Why throw that out? All right, so we're going to keep this really low. We're going to wait for our pasta water is definitely ready. All right, cool. All right. So we're going to let this cool down, and then we're going to add in our garlic. I don't want the garlic to get cooked too much. I just want it to mingle in the pan and just kind of bloom. You can pull the garlic out after if you don't want the big hunks of garlic, because I just have it crushed. But it kind of melts away in the sauce, and if you break it down while you're cooking, you won't notice it. But if you want, you're more than welcome to fish it out when we're done and put it aside. All right, we're going to let that sit. I'm going to drop the pasta, and then we're going to come back right when it's almost done. I'm going to show you how we finish the sauce, and then we're going to eat. All right, so I'll see you back here in a few seconds. Okay, we are back. The pasta is just about ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually carry this over to my stove. And before I do that, the most important thing on the planet is to save some of that pasta water. You're going to need it. It's super, super important in creating the sauce coming together. So make sure you keep that. All right. So I'm just going to... And it's okay if when you're scooping this in here, the pasta water gets in. You're going to need it. So don't worry about draining it too much. It will all be fine. Okay. All right, I'm going to bring this back over here. So the single most important thing when making carbonara is to not make scrambled eggs. So what you do is you want to put the pasta in this pan first, right? You want to get it coated with the bacon fat. You kind of want it to cool off a little bit, just so when you add in the cheese sauce, the egg sauce, you're not having scrambled eggs. Thankfully, that's never happened to me. I know for people it has. So the biggest advice I can give is just go slow and take your time. So we have our pasta water, like I said, right? So what we're going to do is temper it. So when you do is, you can see how thick this is because of all the cheese we added. You're just going to slowly, I'm a lefty, so I got to rearrange my life. You're going to just slowly do a little splash and stir, stir, stir. Really, like just the tiniest little bit. Little bit. And you'll feel when you're whisking, you'll actually feel the sauce totally loosen up. Before, when I was mixing, I could feel it being a little bit tighter and a little bit thicker. But the minute you add in a little bit of that starchy, hot, salty pasta water, it totally loosens up. And you can probably even see now that from before, it's a lot lighter. All right. This is looking good. I almost forgot my favorite part. Add in some arugula. So again, like I said, it makes me feel like I'm being healthy. And I just think it adds some brightness, and it adds that little bit of peppery bite, which I think is super important. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just add in, oh my God, it smells so good, a little bit here just to get it going. I have this on super, super low. Normally what I'll do when I'm actually making this is I'll actually sit this, well, this should be off, sit this on top of here and mix it on here. But since I have my new induction, I have it on super, super low, and I should be able to mix it all in here with no problems. All right, and you'll see the pasta's glossy, right? That's from the fat. All right, we are ready to add in our eggs. I like to just go slow and mix really, really good and just really, really fast. Oh my God, it smells so good. That I really think garlic is needed here. I know we're all, we're in Jersey, so we use garlic on everything here. But I just can't imagine this dish without garlic. I just don't think it would be as good. But I'm sure I'll have some Italians argue with me and tell me that that's not the proper way to do it. All right, and if you're mixing it and you feel like it needs to just be a little bit looser, don't be afraid to add in a splash more pasta. Actually, I'll do it into here and just try to get the last of that egg sauce out of there. Oh, I can't wait to eat. My husband came home for a little bit before and was like, oh, do you want me to get you breakfast? I was like, nope. I am literally saving everything for my lunch of carbonara. Okay. I'm making a mess over here, but it's all right. I'm the one that cleans it up. All right, let me get my plate. Okay. And we're just going to beautifully, let me just clean up this little egg. It's going to drive me crazy if I don't do it. gonna drive me nuts, I know. Okay. I like to work as clean as I possibly can. All right. Turn off this. And as you can see, like no scrambled eggs here. Just beautiful, beautiful carbonara. This is way too much for me just to eat by myself, but I will do my best to make a dent. And if you want to be a little fancy, you can grate some cheese on top right at the end. So this is Parmesan. I know I said before I use Pecorino, but if you want to just do a little fancy, just grating on top at the end, you totally can. I just think it adds a little bit more extra zing. Ugh, look at how beautiful that is. All right. There you have it, pasta carbonara. Beautiful, delicious, super fast. I mean, that probably only took me, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And most things you probably have on hand. I mean, you probably have bacon on hand, you probably have eggs on hand, and you probably have cheese on hand. And I know we all have pasta because the stores are all empty, but you know how to make fresh pasta because of me, so you don't need to buy it if you don't want. All right, everyone, enjoy. I will see you soon. Cheers.